And we are back for another Knowing You show. I'm your host, Tiffany Cano. We have Serena Curran here today. She is a spiritual business mentor, money healer, and Akashic record guide. She has a company, Wealth by Soul Design. I love all those words, wealth, soul, and design, and to put them all together in one nice, beautiful sentence.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes, I agree. Totally.
Well, welcome to the show today. Thanks for
Thank you.
being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Tiffany. I'm thrilled to be here with you and your audience today.
Thank you. And I know you've been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah.
So, what actually even got you started? If I
Uh, well,
can
that's a
ask.
it's a very interesting story. I mean, first of all, I was a chemist, by the way. I have a master's
Okay.
degree. I was a master's degree in chemistry and did medical research, and I also have an MBA. And at one point in my life, I was out of the blue. This journey came to go over to Europe and travel, and I wound up. Within 10 days, I was gone. My sister was there, and she took care of my kids in my house while I took off, and I went to Europe, someplace I'd never said I wanted to go, and I began a backpacking journey. I did not know how long I would be there or where I was going. I started at Finhorn, and I circle danced at Finhorn on summer solstice. Not unplanned, just happened that way. And yeah, it was quite a journey. And so, in that 3 months journey, I came to realize I was going to go and live in Europe, and I did not really know why. Of course, I fantasized that I was going to meet Mr. Right, but that never, you know how we are. But that never happened. That wasn't really the purpose of it all.
Got
Yeah, yeah.
it.
Well, and later I thought the universe is not above giving you a carrot to get you to do things, right? So, so, so I went back home and I turned my life upside down. I had to. I knew I was going back to Europe. I tried forever to find out what country I was going to live in. Could not find out. Could not figure out what language. It was about 9 months before I went back. My children moved in with their dad. I sold my house. I sold all my belongings. And in between there, I dreamed I was a healer. It was and from that came the inclination to take 3 weekends of training. So I had a little bit of training. One of them with Barbara Brennan, who said to me, "You are
Yes,
natural."
hands of light.
Yes, and that's a whole other interesting story. My sister told me to shake hands with her, and I said, well, "How am I ever going to do that? There's 150 people. I'm on the elevator holding her book. She gets on, puts her hand out, and says, 'Hi, I'm Barbara Brennan.'" And she played a big role for me. So I don't want to diverge, but she played a big role, and I'll mention that again in a minute. But at that time, she said to me, "You're a natural healer, and it is your life's purpose." And that made me go to my room and cry. And so I had these experiences. So I traveled back to Europe, and I traveled along the Swiss-German-Austrian border and crossed into Austria. And that's where I knew I was going to live. And it was a process of discovery as to what I was to do. And it started out as, and I discovered I was to do healing circles. And I actually managed to get invited to the largest light center in Vienna, which had all these big international healers, and wound up doing
Wonderful.
healing. So yeah, wound up doing a healing circle for 30 people who had been with all these people. So it took a little bit of, I remember them saying Amerikanisches Heilerin. And I remember saying to my guides, "That is us. Let us do this." And I did a healing circle there, and they invited me to come there and work. And that's where I had my first healing practice. So that's the
And now where do
truncated.
you live?
I live in Southern California. I've traveled all over the place since then. I've been in, I was called back to Europe. I lived in Austria for a year and a half. I lived in Paris for a year. I was called back other times to go to Europe, spending 6 months one other time. And that backpacking trip turned out to be 3 months long. I went to 14
Mm-hmm.
countries. And it was really kind of a past life. And I was brand new to all this stuff. So I was like, I'm seeing, medieval villages and stuff like that. And so that 3 months backpacking trip and saying yes to that, which was really important, even though I didn't really understand any about it, was the opening of a new life for me. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just a moment to remember sometimes when that something gets put in front of you. It's the courage to say yes. It's going to make all the difference in your that big choice, that trend, that point of changing your life. And there's been quite a few of those. So to get
Mhm.
back to the Barbara Brennan story, as I was working in Austria and doing healing work, I would have dreams, and we would be sitting at a table, like an oval table with other people, and she and I would be sitting there. So I don't know
Mm.
exactly what was taking place there, but I was doing healing work without really any training, so I already knew from the beginning that it wasn't me, and
Mhm.
so that's how it all started. But
Okay.
there's been quite a journey. I lived in Paris for a year. I lived in Hawaii for 3.5 years. I got called to go to different places. I was in Sedona. I've been in Boulder, Colorado, and a
And
lot of
then
places.
what had you focus it on the wealth? Like
Um,
doing healing in regards to people's wealth?
because that's been, over 25 years, I started out as a hands on healer, and it just has evolved into something else, of course. And then I got involved with the Akashic Records. And of course, I was always working with them. I just really wasn't aware. And so I got involved with working with the Akashic Records. And you know, um, I think that I resisted getting involved in wealth in some ways, because I think there's so much garbage in there going on there. But I am a Taurus in the 12th house, and I'm all about taking spiritual things and bringing them into the physical. And I got into astrology, and I've also looked at human design. So I kind of use all of those little tools to, and what I receive as guidance. And so
Mhm.
wealth, and I think that for me, I'm sorry, I'm carrying on for a very long time here, but um, let me just say that what I think is really important now is that we're shifting. We have this opportunity to shift into a brand new earth, and that's what we're up to right now. And for me, wealth is about having a balance in your life, about your wellness, your family, your enjoyment, your entertainment, and your income. So it's not just focused on money, but it's focused on that whole holistic view. And that, really what we're here to do is make a difference in the world, and that's wealth when we do that, and then money comes.
Mhm.
So that's more like how I work with it. And so I guess I'm more of a wealth healer than I'm a money healer, but
And
same
what do
thing.
you find is like the number one thing that people need to do, be, feel, etc., to make that shift, to open up to more prosperity and abundance and money flow?
Well, that's interesting because what I found was, so for me, I was born to parents that were kids basically, and so I had to become an adult pretty early in my life, and I never quite felt like I fit in my family. I always felt like a black sheep, and I wondered if I was been adopted. And I think many change makers and healers and holistic practitioners have had that kind of experience. And so we get this definition of who we are that's kind of like, I'm not enough. And the primary thing we need to change is the story or the identity we have about who we are.
Mhm.
And I am a big proponent of understanding that each one of us comes here with this unique soul, and it's meant to be
So
expressed.
pretty.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And if it doesn't, so our whole thing is that we have this unique soul. And so we're like part of the cosmic plan. And that it's really important for us to be able to express that gift. So I think it's a shift in identity from identifying to some of these smaller versions of who we are to this bigger version of, I am here to contribute to this shift that we're going through. I'm part of the cosmic plan. And if I don't do my piece, it's just missing. There's no one else to fill it. And so I found that when you shift identity like that and start to live from that bigger vision, then it pulls you forward to do the things that you're here to do. And when you do that, of course, wealth is the outcome.
Mhm. And like talk to me more about identity, because I think that uh, or maybe it's even archetypal energies. Like when I think of prosperity and abundance, and I know I need to make a shift, there's always inner work to do. upgrading beliefs and whatnot. But sometimes I also play with like archetypal energy and using that to like shift my beingness and identity. Like, can you give us some more insight onto how we can shift?
Well, I think first of all, you have to have the idea that you're going to shift. And so
A
that,
desire, right?
and well, a desire. And also that's what part of my job is here. Let me give you that bigger vision. Let me help you see that bigger vision. And when I work with people, their vision of who they are always gets bigger. And so seeing that bigger vision of who you are, and of course, when I read in the Akashic records for them, I'm reading archetypes, what the archetypes of their soul are. So they have these to refer to as well in terms of who they are here to express themselves. But if you just have that bigger vision, then you begin to ask yourself, if I'm living from that vision, what choices would I make here? How would I behave? What kinds of
Mm-hmm.
beliefs would I have? I'm a proponent. I'm not so fond of the idea of going looking for blocks and things. Not that those things don't exist, but what you look for, you're going to find. So I'm more of a proponent of getting that bigger vision and letting it pull you forward. And obviously the things that need to be healed will arise as you're doing that, as you're stepping into that bigger vision. Those things that need to be, the stories that need to be rewritten. I tend to think of it as stories that we tell ourselves that need to be rewritten, or are discarded, or as the case may be. But
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis, if you keep that vision in front of yourself, and we can get, of course, there's a more specific vision that you can work from.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when I was in Austria, I that was my first experience of this, is because I knew I was called there, and I knew there was something for me to do there, and I discovered that it was around healing. That was as much as I knew, but I felt like I was on a mission. And because I felt that big vision, or that pull, did a lot of things that I wouldn't have normally done. I actually even started a business in Austria, my first business in German, in a language I was just learning, renting rooms and running.
That's brave.
I know. I
Way
always
to
forget.
go.
Yeah. Well, I remember the day that came up, and I received that that's what I needed to do. And I sat on the bed and I said to my guides, I said, look, if I had known that this is what I was here to do, I would not have come. and, then I, and then I said, okay, let's go do it.
I understand that. There's definitely the times when I just get a glimpse of what is about to happen versus like a bigger glimpse, because God knows
Yeah.
that if I had the bigger one, I might have some resistance to
Yeah.
following that
I
particular path at that time.
I think that's pretty common, that we don't get the whole vision. We only get like the next little piece, because to take the whole thing in is maybe a little too much at times. I totally agree with you.
So, talk to me more about aligning with your soul in a way that helps you open up to greater wealth.
So, there's a flow of energy that comes down through the center of your being, right? This is the flow of creativity, the flow of the divine, and you want this flow to be as open as possible. And that's really what you're doing when you're clearing things out, is opening that flow. And of course, when you manifest inside that flow, it's much easier. If you're outside the flow, you're still manifesting. It's just hard. It's just hard. And so you want to get inside that flow. You want to expand that flow. And so one of the things that I do in the Akashic records when I read is I read interferences, things that the soul has experienced over time that have created, interferences. They can be contracts, vows, it can be all kinds of stuff. And I remove those interferences, and it puts people's lives on a new trajectory immediately. It's just fascinating. And so I think I lost the question there, but it's really about so that's a tool that we have that we can use to align, is knowing those archetypal energies that are in your soul. And you can use that as a tool to bring yourself into alignment. And of course, when you're, you get to a point where you can feel when you're out
Yes.
of alignment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
you can.
I'm in the zone. I'm in the
Right.
flow versus everything just feels so off and hard right now.
Exactly.
Like, I've
Exactly.
had moments of both. And with
Yes.
God's blessings, when I notice that I'm not in the flow, I, do a little meditation, a little like rejiggering of my
Yes,
innards to
exactly.
try to get back
Yeah.
into that flow. Because life is just so much better, easier, softer, more
Yeah.
graceful.
Well,
Yeah.
I think one of the ways to be in the flow is to choose things that create joy. So,
Mm.
just if you use that as a guidepost, is this joyful? Now, I realize that there were things that we have to do that are not necessarily fun, but you can also look at those as this is supporting my vision, and that it's a change in
Mm-hmm.
your perception of it. I'm supporting my vision with this work that maybe I don't necessarily like to do, but I'm supporting my vision, and so that can bring me joy. So there are ways to work with it, but also the choices that you make. I mean, if you've got a program that isn't joyful, get rid of it and do something different.
Like even just pausing and asking, like touching our hearts and saying, is
Yes.
this bringing me joy? And
Mm-hmm.
then listening for the yes, no, or
Yeah.
it's like, is this bringing me joy? Like I could literally go through like every item in my house, in my kitchen
Yeah.
pantry, and ask the same question. Is this bringing me joy? Is this bringing me joy? And
Well,
if
that
it
that's
doesn't, it's like, it's gone.
yeah.
Or what do I need to do to like have it have its own transformation back into joy?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's Marie Kondo's idea there of cleaning out your environment with things that aren't joyful. I traveled so much and moved around so much. I left Austria with 2 suitcases. I went to live in I went to Hawaii from there. That was another one of those. I
Wow.
got at meditation. I should go to Hawaii. I'm like, okay, so you want me to go halfway across the world to a place I've never been, and I'm almost out of money. Is that right?
Okay, so pausing here for a moment. So when you got that nudge, and you're like, okay, spirit says go to Hawaii, and you look at your bank account and it doesn't quite have the funds that you would normally feel comfortable in doing such a venture. What did you have to shift within yourself in order to be a yes to that and to have the faith and the trust that money is going to come? Like, talk to me more about like the inner shifts that you made for that.
you know, I'm not sure there was. First of all, I don't let money decide anything for me. Um,
Good.
I don't allow money to drive my life. So that was just that's just a fact of the matter. I had enough money to buy a ticket to get there. I had enough money to get there. So I don't think that was really a primary consideration. It was really more, always for me, it was more, was this what my soul was asking for? And if it is, then I know that I will be supported in doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did make the decision. And of course, the humorous part was, as soon as I made the decision, I went to a Plotz in Vienna that I'd been to many times, and there was a bookstore, and they had a book on Hawaii in English on sale. So I got that. So I went to a travel agency, opened a page, and said, I have to go here. Picture. It was Honolulu Bay on Kauai. And I have to say
It's
that
beautiful
after,
there.
oh my God, it's gorgeous. I lived on Kauai for 3.5 years. So, so that, and then the next night I went, then somebody that did Huna contacted me. And then the next night I went to one of the hotels in Vienna where they were playing jazz. And at the break, they put on Hawaiian wedding songs. So I just started laughing at that point. So I got a lot of confirmation also. Right?
Uh-huh.
And and so I did it. And I'm not going to say, I'm going to say I had to go on a lot of faith. And when I got there, I also remember that I was there a couple of weeks, and I was like, there's 3 things you need when you get there. You need a place to live, you need a car, and you need a source of income.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have those things. And I was there and I was talking to this woman who channeled Merlin. And Merlin, and I said, ask Merlin about this. And Merlin comes back and says, hang loose. And I'm going, hang loose? What kind of answer is that? And 2 weeks later, I had all of it.
Nice.
So there's a magic. This is why when you align with your soul and you follow your soul, things just flow and you get supported, and abundance flows, as long as you, of course, go out into the world, make offers and stuff like that. It's not like it's not, there's not magic here. I don't want to imply there's magic. There's magic. And how would I put that? There's magic in being in the flow, but it still requires us as human beings in the physical form to take physical actions in order for things to happen. Like I had to go out and apply. I had to go out and apply for some jobs, right? And I had to look around for a place to live, or I had to talk to people about a place to live, and I had to look for a car, right? They didn't just show up in front of my house.
You didn't just get Zen and then like everything just fell at your feet. Yeah. No, you have to like take some human effort, all steps and actions too, right?
Yeah. Yes. And I think sometimes when people talk about manifesting, they get into the space of like they don't have to really do anything. They just have to. No, you do need to do the energetic part of it. Of course you do, but you also have to do the physical part of it, because we are physical human. We are souls in a body. We are souls in a body.
I also wanted to touch on, you had mentioned Akashic records multiple times.
Yes.
I know what you mean by that, but there might be some people listening that don't. So can you actually give us a little context on that?
Thank you for asking. Of course, I always should give context on that, because the Akashic records are kind of, people think of it as a library, and it's a library of all the souls that ever existed and everything that ever happened to them. And so each person has their own record in there, or their own book. Some people think it was a book. You can think of it as a Google search. It's energetic, but it's a record that you can go in and access. And I access it in a particular way so that I find people's archetypes of their soul that they are here to manifest, and also get information about what kinds of businesses structure they should have and so on. And so, in fact, right now in this moment, as you're taking action and having thoughts and emotions, they're being recorded in your records. And so in this moment, you're creating your future. So you can use the Akashic records in the way I do, which is one of the ways I do, look at people's souls and see what's interfering with the expression of their soul, and remove that stuff that came from past experiences, or it could be present life experiences. And then you can also go in there and ask the Akashic record guides for guidance on what would be my next best steps. And, that we have many possible futures in front of us. And, based on what we decide and what we choose, and what vibrations we put out, and what energy, what thoughts we have, and what actions we take, we are choosing some future for ourselves, but you're actually writing it in the records. So I like to say that when I work with people, I help them write their records, and so that they receive the abundance and the prosperity that they desire.
Wonderful. Yeah. And for people who would like to get more exposure to you, I know you've got two free gifts actually. So let me put this first one up here. So you have, here, let me show it. Shift into the flow of money, which tell us about that one first.
Yeah, that's a healing journey that I take you on, to shift into the flow of money. So we do a little bit of releasing of old ideas of who you are. Or interferences with your power, and some fear, and imprinting some new ideas of who you are. and looking at an intention that you'd like to realize. So that's what that little journey is about. And it's a journey that you can use over and over again. And then I also have a journey to open your own Akashic records, because you can go in your own Akashic records. Now, you probably need to be a meditator or to be able to reach that, to be able to get in there. But anybody can go in their Akashic records, and it isn't. It's very simple. It's really not a complicated thing. I know people all have all these complicated ways that you need to get in, but it really is very simple to go in your records. And so I do a little journey to help you do that. And then you can go in there and ask questions, and it's got a feel to it. And plus, just connecting with the Akashic records, it's such a high vibration. It's just good for you.
Mm. And you also offered a complimentary session with you. So
yeah.
Tell us what that would entail.
So the complimentary call is really for us to explore what's going on, for us to get to know each other and to explore what's happening for you, what challenges you've got, and for me to look at, what possibilities there are for helping you to move forward with it, and doing a little bit of diagnosis and maybe offering some solutions. Depends on what.
How long is that?
It's usually about a half an hour.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And is it by phone or Zoom, or?
I usually do it by Zoom. I like to see people, so I do it by Zoom, and I like to connect with people. So yes, all of those things are available there.
And remind us, who would be your, who do you want to contribute to? Like, who would be a good person to sign up for these gifts that you're offering in the free session?
Well, anybody that's a change maker or sees themselves as a change maker, a visionary, a healer, somebody who's interested in social justice. I'm here about helping those people that are going to change the world to really get their work out into the world in a big way. And so those are the people I really love: spiritual entrepreneurs, holistic practitioners. I love working with them. And of course, a lot of them are empaths. And so, as I am. and so I love working with those people.
Okay, so sign up at the links included on the screen and in the chat, and receive more healing flow and abundance with Serena.
At the very least, we'll have a few laughs. How's that?
Okay. Any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
Just that I'd like everybody to put their hand on their heart and to recognize that you are such a valuable part of the cosmic plan, and that it is really vital for you to help us create our new earth together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much love and blessings to all. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Forward this and share this with anybody else who you think would benefit from today's episode. All right. Thank you again, Serena. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for having me, Tiffany.
Bye-bye.